Manga is something that has been with me for a long time. It started decades ago when I was a kid, and I would visit the library with my mom. While she would look for books and VHS tapes, I would go straight to the comics section. I would read about superheroes and other Western comics like Archie and the masterful Calvin and Hobbes. I was able to read fast, and the visual medium of comics added an extra layer of enjoyment. But there were never enough comics for me to read. Superhero issues would often be only 30 pages long, and newspaper strips could only keep me interested for so long. Depending on the library, there would sometimes be a section of different comics, a small shelf off to the side, or a few rows at the bottom of the rack. These books caught my eye. They were longer and had better binding, and the art styles and brilliant covers were intriguing. The biggest difference was that they were read from right to left. After getting through the mental puzzle of how to read these books, I became consumed. I read through the Phoenix series by Azuma Tezuka, a particularly mind-bending work. I found greats like Lone Wolf and Cub, as well as various issues of Shonen Jump mangas like Yu Yu Hakusho, Black Cat, and One Piece. Because it was the public library, you had to take what you could find, or wait to reserve volumes. I longed to read these series properly, from start to finish. One of my all-time favorites was Usagi Yojimbo, the story of a wandering rabbit samurai. I loved the glimpse into history and Japanese culture, as well as the creative animal designs, which allowed for a wide variety of visuals. There are life lessons I learned from Usagi that I still remember today, such as a lesson in respect. One day, I was in a corner shop, and they had an issue of Shonen Jump for sale. I had never seen one before, but recognized the logo. I bought the issue, and later ordered a subscription to the magazine. It was the first and only magazine I was subscribed to. I enjoyed reading the issues when they came each month. I was subscribed for several years, and many of my issues are dog-eared from numerous readings. I enjoyed not only the ongoing serializations, but the snapshots of other works that would be given as a preview. I learned that the world of manga was widespread and blossoming. This was also my first introduction to the Japanese language, as Shonen Jump had short lessons between chapters. I am still studying Japanese, so many years later. As I learned about different manga and chose my favorites, I began to collect volumes outside of Shonen Jump. Most of the issues I bought during this time were from secondhand bookstores. I found copies of Full Metal Alchemist and Dragon Ball, as well as anything I could find by Clamp. One of my favorite Clamp stories is Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicle. I love the multiverse and connection to Clamp's other works, as well as the fantasy plot. As time passed, I took a break from manga, but now I've returned to the hobby with renewed vigor. I have been buying used copies off websites like Poshmark and filling my collection with my favorites. Finally, I own a few copies of Usagi, as well as manga in French, Chinese, and Japanese. Hopefully soon I can find some in Spanish. A few years ago, when I was watching Attack on Titan, I realized why I prefer reading over watching anime. Despite the music, animation, and sound effects that anime bring, which can elevate a series, I much prefer when I can control the pacing of a story for myself, rereading exciting passages, and stopping to digest the plot. I tend to prefer watching anime movies and waiting until I get a chance to read a series. Lately, I have been reading anything I can get my hands on, and the rush has been exhilarating. If you've never read manga, I recommend diving in. There is really something for everyone in the wide world of Japanese comics, from adventure to romance, slice of life, and everything in between. Visit your local library, the magic place where it all started for me, and see what you can find. Thanks for listening, and happy reading.